malicious scams. Common sense is as important as your anti-malware tool. Let's start our story. The suspicious email. We all know that when we receive an email from an unknown source, it is better to ignore it or be very cautious. That's true if you don't use it for business purposes. Since we run a company, getting emails from unknown senders is not a strange thing to us. So, we received an email some days ago which was well written and seemed to be from a legitimate company. The domain was in question, but it is not unusual for big companies to send emails from third-party domains. Still, it's suspicious. We exchanged more emails with the company's representatives and we reached the hard rock point. As mentioned, the emails were well written, had good quality images, and the domain looked quite normal until we received an email with suspicious file attached. It seems to be a financial contract, but its extension was exe. Exe files are executable files. There is no reason for a contract to be an executable file rather than a PDF. And to be more precise here, they sent us a Dropbox link to download all material where this exe file was included. From now on, something was odd. Things were suspicious. The first thing we did was to scan the file with two different well-regarded anti-malware tools. Both found nothing malicious. Still, an executable contract is not something you expect to see, especially from a well-known brand. So we continued by uploading the file to the VirusTotal site. The file was about 620 megabytes, which also rings a bell. Cybercriminals make large files to make it more difficult to be scanned, depending on your anti-malware scanner's configuration. As VirusTotal is a notorious tool, exceeding the maximum upload limit is what they are looking for. Recently, it was changed from 550 megabytes maximum upload limit to 650 megabytes. We were lucky enough not to exceed that limit, since the file was 620 megabytes. After VirusTotal analysis, we were informed that 8 anti-malware engines identified it as a generic Trojan file. Generic Trojans are not so alarming since it means that it might be a false positive. The most challenging part was that only 3 of them were trusted tools, so it was not something to worry about too much, but it still was uncomfortable. 8 identifications are not in a comfy zone, but it is also a matter of heuristics, false positive, tuning of every anti-malware engine. Some anti-malware tools offer only what they consider optimal to VirusTotal because bandwidth is also critical, so it is not unusual to have different results. Still, I had to analyze it further. The next step was to open the file in a hex editor. A hex editor is an excellent way to see if something is wrong with a file. There are portable editors, so installing them on your machine is unnecessary. I was curious to know why the file was so large. Cybercriminals most of the time fill a file with zeros to enlarge it. Zeros are the optimal way to enlarge a file without affecting the malicious code, which might be a few kilobytes in size. And that's precisely what it was revealed in the end. The actual code was only 8 megabytes after deleting all the zeros. A legit program rarely has so many zeros because that makes it unnecessarily large. And that is something alarming. Uploading only the stripped down version of the file in VirusTotal was more revealing now. More engines identified it as a threat, which makes it suspicious. It was about time to say goodbye to our malicious friend. The worst part was our time spent on a scam and what could have happened if I wasn't cautious enough. Anti-malware tools and common sense are the perfect combination. Anti-malware tools are essential, but nothing is guaranteed if you aren't cautious enough. Trust nothing that might ring a bell, even if your tool doesn't identify it as a threat. If something seems too alarming, then it might be malicious. Always be cautious with an unknown email or an email by a known sender that doesn't seem normal. And with a word known, I mean a known online store, brand, or a company. Always check the domain of the email. Smartphones, if you read the email on your smartphone, unfortunately, you won't be able to reveal the full address easily. Check the general quality of the images and the text. It is best to check the file extension of the attachment. Be cautious if it is different from what it is meant to be also. For example, large PDF files, files that are meant to be PDF files but have different extensions. For example, aris.pdf.exe, where .exe is the real extension of this file. If a file seems suspicious, seek help from someone who knows about how to handle this stuff, and above all, don't click on it without any further information. Never put blind faith on your anti-malware tool. It is best to scan a suspicious file with different tools as well. The VirusTotal site is very helpful in that. And report anything inappropriate to official anti-fraud organizations. There are different emails for that, for both US and EU zone. Common sense or anti-malware alone is not enough. I have to repeat that. Both of them have to be combined to have the best protection. There's a proverb that says, curiosity killed the cat. Unfortunately, we all might be that cat someday, somehow. Better safe than sorry is the best practice. As always, don't trust people you don't know, and in some cases, don't trust people even if you do know them. That's all. Bye-bye.